Happy Tuesday, everybody. Okay, so today we are going to move on and we're going to still talking about equations, linear equations. We're going to start practice writing them again from like word problem style problems. And we've already done this in Unit 1, so this is kind of going to be like a review a little bit. So only 8 days till Thanksgiving break. Woohoo! Turn in your missing work. Don't forget to do that. Remember, I'm having a drawing at the end of the 9 weeks. If you don't have any missing work, you can be entered in the drawing for a $50 gift card. So make sure you do that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do today is you need to go and open up your Algebra 1 journal. So if you're new to my class and you have not started your journal yet, you need to do that. Let me show you where you can go to do that. Let's see. So in Unit 3, I believe, here's the top of Unit 3 module. On the modules page, you can click this file here. And it's going to say, go here, and it's going to ask you to make a copy. So that will give you the setup. That will give you this cover, your table of contents. And then I think some of the Unit 3 files are in there as well. But if you're new to my class, I mainly want you to have done Unit 4. So that's what will give you the setup, the template. Then when you go to Unit 4, you can click here at the beginning, and this is all of the slides we're using for Unit 4. So if you need to pause the video right now, you can do that, and you can get that set up. So you would go over here, and then you would copy each file into your journal. And so if you watch the video that I made on this day here, you go to previous on the modules page, you watch this video, which is not here, but it is on my other Canvas course, the one that you're actually looking at. This video explains to you exactly how to do that, how to copy all of those files over. So maybe pause the video right now and get that set up if you haven't already, because that's super important for my class. Because today, the first thing we're going to start with is we are going to put some notes into our journal. So remember, the journal is a major grade each 9 weeks. So you'll take a test over the journal at the end of the 9 weeks, and I'll ask you questions about the problems that we've worked together in the journal. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in to about 100 here. So we're going to work a couple examples together, then I'm going to let you work on your own. So the examples, they'll be like the problems that you're going to work. So Jennifer wants to have flyers printed for her upcoming car wash fundraiser. Henderson Printing charges a $10 design fee and $2 per flyer. This seems similar to our t-shirt problems that we were talking about in Desmos. So first thing we want to do is we want to write the equation, which we did that in our Desmos activity on Friday as well. So they're telling us we're going to write the equation that represents the total cost T in terms of flyers F. So I want to skip down here real quick. What are they telling us T represents? So T is representing our total cost. So we got to keep that in mind. That's what they said. T is the total cost. And they said F represents the number of flyers. Okay, so let's write that equation. So we're writing it to represent the total cost. So T equals, what does our total cost equal? Well, let's see, what is she going to have to pay? They're charging her a $10 design fee, so that's part of it. She's going to have to pay the $10, plus she has to pay $2 per flyer. Remember, per is one of those multiply words. Think slope, think rate of change. So $10 plus, you would have to multiply, right? So if she bought 20 flyers, you would have to say 20 times the $2. That's where we would get here. If F is 20 for 20 flyers, 20 times 2 plus the $10 for the design fee, that would give you her total cost. Yeah, that makes sense. So now they're asking me, what's the rate of change? What's our slope? So remember, you can look in front of your variable over here on this side, or remember the per word. It said $2 per flyer. So our slope is 2. What does it represent? Well, that's the cost per flyer, right? How much she's going to have to pay for each flyer. So what is our y-intercept? Well, our y-intercept is, remember, it's the other number. It's 10. What does that represent? That's the design fee, right? Remember, that's her starting cost. Anyways, that. So your starting cost is usually your y-intercept almost every time. So how much will it cost if Jennifer places an order, I should say an order, for 60 flyers? Okay, well, I'm just going to type it here. So we want to know the total cost. What is our total cost equal if Jennifer places an order? She's going to order how many flyers? 60. Well, we should be able to work this out in our brain, guys. But we can work it out here too. So I have to pay the $10 plus $2 per each flyer, and we're getting 60 of them. Well, so that's really 10. Actually, I'm going to go down here. So that's $10 plus 2 times 60 is 120. So my total cost must equal 130 bucks. If you want to type this in here like I am, I'm cool with that too. You don't want to have to insert your work somewhere. There we go. So it's going to cost Jennifer $130. I'm going to put a dollar sign here so we keep it straight. Remember, we're talking about total cost here. Awesome. So that wasn't too bad. We've done problems very, very similar to this in Unit 1, and I believe we did them again in Unit 2 as well. Greg wants to empty his hot tub. He's going to clean it. He has a 300-gallon hot tub and empties it at a rate of 200 gallons per minute. So notice what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing this word per, and look, they also said the word rate. So that's a hint to me. That's talking about my slope there. So write an equation that represents the gallons of water in the hot tub. We're going to call that G in terms of minutes M. So what does G represent? They just told me. We got to keep it straight. It represents the gallons in the hot tub. And M represents minutes, how many minutes it's going to take him to drain it. So at any minute, G represents how many gallons are in the tub at that minute. So let's write our equation here. So G equals, well, how many gallons are in the hot tub? Well, let's think about this. How many gallons did he start with? If his hot tub was full, well, that's easy, right? He started with 300. They told us he has a 300-gallon hot tub. Then he's emptying the hot tub. So let's think about this. At this one over here, when we were talking about our total cost, we knew she had to pay the $10 plus we knew we needed to add here because we knew we weren't going to subtract the cost per flyer. No, they're charging her all of this money, right? It's the $10 plus $2 per flyer. But let's think about this one. For over here, Greg, he starts with 300 gallons in his hot tub, but he's emptying it. So is he putting water in or taking water out? Yeah, he's taking water out. So think, should that be plus or minus? We're not adding water, we're subtracting water from his hot tub. So we should subtract. Perfect. Now, what are we subtracting? What's our rate? They already told us 20 gallons per what? Remember, per is a multiply word, per minute. So every minute, we're taking out 20 gallons. So notice what this does over here. And we're going to answer this question down here. What is the rate of change for this one? Well, what's in front of our variable on this side? 20. But what's the sign? Because we were subtracting, because we were taking water out, is actually negative 20. So our slope for this one is negative. That's why in algebra, sometimes it's a real world problem. We wouldn't talk about, I have negative 20 gallons of water, but that's why it makes sense because we're decreasing, we're subtracting. So what does it represent? Well, that we are empty. We're going to suddenly don't know how to spell empty. We're emptying 20 gallons per minute, right? So what's the y-intercept? What's the other piece? Well, that's this one. That's the 300. So what does it represent? The starting gallons, right, in the hot tub. Perfect. Okay, so how many minutes will it take to drain the hot tub? Let's think about this. So again, if you want to just type here, you can. How many minutes will it take to drain the hot tub? Ooh, okay, so this is a little different. What am I supposed to do here? So I'm thinking about, I need to know how many minutes, which is M, and I have an equation that represents the number of gallons in the tub at any particular minute. But they're asking me to give them an answer that is minutes. So let's think. Okay. So if I'm solving for M, they must have given me G because I'm trying to figure out how many minutes will it take for the hot tub to be empty? So what is G? So if my hot tub is empty, because they said how many minutes will it take it to drain it, they mean drain it completely. How many gallons are going to be in the hot tub if it's empty? Think about that. So if you take a bath and then you let the water out of the bathtub, how much water is in your bathtub when it's empty? I hope you're going none. Correct. So how many gallons is that? None. 0 gallons. So that's what we need to plug in for G. We want to know how many minutes is it going to take our G, our gallons, to get to 0. So then we leave the rest of our equation, 20, and we want to know what the M is. So we have to solve this. Think about it. How do we solve? Well, if I'm trying to get this term right here by itself, I would subtract the 300 from each side. I'm going to move this over so I can line it up for you guys. So if I subtract 300 from this side, I better subtract 300 from this side too. I'm subtracting it from both sides. And this looks a little funny. I usually work through that on my iPad. I'm going to move this so it gets out of our way. So 0 minus 300 is what? Well, that's negative 300 now equals 300 minus 300 on this side is 0, negative 20m. Okay, so let's think about it. How would I get m by itself over here? Well, I would just divide by negative 20, right? I would divide both sides by whatever's in front of m. Okay. So let's figure out what that is. So negative 20 divided by negative 20 is just m. Perfect. So now on this side over here, I just have m equals. Well, now I need to figure out what is negative 300 divided by negative 20. Well, I know a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And 300 divided by 20, I believe, is 15. So it must have taken how many minutes? Oops, I erased it. Must have taken 15 minutes to drain the hot tub just by solving that equation. So now normally I would draw my line and this would be a little bit simpler, but hopefully me walking through the steps helped. And if you want to type this in, you can, or if you want to write it on your notebook paper and then insert, go to insert image, camera, you could do that and insert a picture of your work there. But make sure you have your answer at least here, 15 minutes, and know how we got the answer. So when they tell you to write an equation and then they tell you to solve the equation, the important thing is figure out what did they give you a value for. Over here, they gave us a value for the number of flyers, so we plugged it in for F. But on this one, they did not give me the number of minutes. They asked me to find the number of minutes, so I needed a value for G. Because if you have two variables and you're going to solve for one of them, you got to know what the other one is. You just have to. That's the way it works. So I needed to know a value for G, but they didn't tell me how many minutes it take for the gallons to get to 0. We had to figure that out with our smart brains, okay? So now you're going to come over to Canvas and you are going to practice this writing equations gallery walk. Oh, I have to leave student view, so this will load for you guys. So there are several problems on here. There's like 16 problems. You are going to work 8 of them. You're only going to have to work half of them. They're very, very similar to the problems that I just worked for you. So you've got lots to choose from. Now, some of them are multiple choice. And instead of writing an equation, they're inequalities. So let me talk you through this one real quick. Carrie is planning a surprise party for her mom. She wants to serve cupcakes and frosted sugar cookies at the party. The cupcakes cost $2.35 each and the cookies cost $1.25 each. She can spend no more than $150 on the cake and cookies. Which inequality could represent the number of cupcakes C and iced sugar cookies S Carrie could purchase? So notice they told us that C is cupcakes and S is sugar cookies. So I'm seeing my C and S here. Now, did they tell me which one costs which? Yep, they told me cupcakes cost $2.35 and the cookies are $1.25. So since cupcakes is represented by C, if I'm going to multiply to find my total cost, I should multiply the cost of the cupcakes times the number of cupcakes, right? So it should be $2.35 times C plus $1.25 times however many cookies I buy. When I add those up, I should get my total money, right? This problem actually has a mistake in it that I'm seeing right now, and I'll go back and fix that with our total over here. So we can figure out this side over here is actually supposed to be $150 because it's saying she can spend no more than $150. So since this one's telling me to multiply 125 times C, well, that would be $1.25 times the number of cupcakes. But do cupcakes cost $1.25? No, they cost $2.35. So this one's incorrect. Now this one is correct because it's 235 times C, and so is this one because it's 235 times C. So it can't be A or C because they have the amounts are incorrect. So it's telling me she can spend no more than $150. So is no more than $150 represented by less than or equal to? Remember, this should be 150 on this side. This is a mistake on my part. Or is it greater than or equal to? So if you can spend no more than $150, is that you have to spend less than or equal to 150, or can you spend greater than 150? So think about it. If your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa or somebody gives you $150 to spend and you come back and you've spent $200, is that good? No, because you went over, right? You need to spend less than or right at the $150. Don't go over it. So we need the one that's less than. So that would be B. That's kind of how you work yourself through these ones that have the inequalities, but they're all multiple choice, all the ones that are inequalities. So I wanted to see if you kind of work your way through them and think them through. The rest of them are very similar. They're gonna give you a starting value, and you're gonna have to figure out which one's your y-intercept, which one's the slope, and you're gonna plug it in and write your equation. Okay. So I'll go back and try to fix that number 3 and recheck that. So that's what I need you to do today. And then you do, remember, just pick 8 of them. You don't have to work all of them. You do have an exit ticket in Canvas as well. It's on the modules page, the very last thing. And remember, you have 2 attempts. So make sure that if you don't score well the first time, that you reattempt it.